President Trump returning to Washington overnight after becoming the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl, making news before he stepped in the stadium with a new tariff announcement on imported steel and aluminum.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
And promising more tariffs are coming on countries that tax American exports. The growing list poised to potentially drive up costs for American consumers. While in a taped Super Bowl pre-show interview, the president defended Elon Musk's cost-cutting moves to slash federal agencies.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so
indicating the Departments of Education and Defense are next in the crosshairs and pushing back against judges who have temporarily blocked some of Musk's Department of Government Efficiency actions and access.
I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy, and we have to solve the efficiency problem.
As Vice President J.D. Vance wrote, judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power, all adding to Democrats' alarm about the separation of powers.
We are at a point where we are basically on the cusp of a constitutional crisis, seeing this administration taking steps that are so clearly illegal.
With Democrats unwilling to co-sign the Trump administration's moves, a bipartisan government funding bill is in peril, building toward a potential government shutdown next month.
The point of the Constitution is to protect the rights of the American citizens. And if that means digging into the government's pockets to figure out where our taxpayer money has been going, so be it. We need to find out.
Elon Musk, the world's richest man, and his quest to trim the federal workforce and agency spending has largely gotten a stamp of approval from the White House for trying to root out waste, despite growing pushback to his Department of Government Efficiency's work.
I would argue with Elon Musk at the helm of this project as one of the most famous people in the world, there's actually more transparency and more interest into what our federal government is spending money on, and that's a good thing for all Americans.
The list of agencies Musk and Doge have been involved with continues to grow, with varying degrees of success by people designated as special government employees and gaining access to employee information and government payment systems. The signage for the United States Agency for International Development was taken down Friday, as nearly every employee was set to be put on administrative leave.
If these people are complaining that someone's stepping in to make sure they're doing their job correctly and money moving in and out of these buildings are done correctly, there shouldn't be any issue or problem with that. It's basically the government getting audited. And all the Democrats are freaking out. Why is that?
It was a Doge-led dismantling.
I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it, but we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption. We found tremendous corruption.
We're coming in.
Democrats opposed to Musk's work were denied access into the Department of Education Friday, following up on a request to meet with the acting secretary over Trump administration plans to start breaking down the agency.
Acting Secretary Denise Carter, will you stand up to a would-be king who thinks that he can dismantle the Department of Education without congressional concurrence?
I can't stand that guy. I've seen him multiple times. He's good at flipping words. He doesn't, he's
More Doge action is likely on the way. New Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy recently posted the group would be involved in upgrading aviation technology. A Doge worker at the Treasury Department resigned this week, according to the Wall Street Journal, after he was linked to a social media account advocating for racism. Musk asked his followers on X if the employee should be given his job back, and an overwhelming majority responded yes.
Wow.
Reporting in Washington.
Wow, okay. I mean, so it was true that this employee had some previous things that were racist, and Elon asked the people, hey, probably in a poll online, and everybody said, yeah, bring him back. I mean, shoot. As long as he's not continually being racist, I mean, what are you gonna do? almost everybody in the world probably has said or done something racist at some point in their life, probably by accident or intentionally. I mean, people make mistakes. Humans are not perfect. But if this kid knows what he's doing to bring back our government, the main focus of why we're using this kid, we need to use them at our disposal to make sure that we root out all the corruption that the Democrats have led on.
The appearance as a brand new CBS News poll finds his approval rating at 53%. In the interview, President Trump doubling down on his call to make Canada the 51st state.
We lose $200 billion a year with Canada. If they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
Trump also asked about his support for Elon Musk, his Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, slashing spending for weeks.
You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
And you
where
found
the money's
significant
going.
things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous.
That list includes $20 million for a Sesame Street-style show in Iraq, $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion
Who put
in
these
Serbia's
in?
workplaces,
Who put these programs
and
in?
$47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia.
Damn
But
Democrats.
it also includes funding 20% of the HIV/AIDS program in South Africa, at least a dozen hospitals in Syria that have since been shut down, hundreds of millions to help the education of women and girls around the world. Democrats decrying DOGE, which they say is breaking the law, dismantling agencies created and funded by Congress, with federal courts already blocking some of the actions.
And right now,
this is USA. This is basically almost like the country, the United States, basically giving money to homeless people. Basically, other countries around the world that are not homeless but are needing the handout. It's equivalent to that, in my opinion. Why are we forking over all this money for these programs that are absolutely insane to the American people? It's not going to help this country move forward. I'm glad that DOGE is stepping in and really gutting this this agency out, USAID.
this minute, totally unauthorized tech bros are in there right now doing whatever the hell they want.
This is a red
No, they're not.
alert
They're
moment
cleaning
when
shop.
this entire
They're
country
cleaning
has to
shop.
understand that our democracy is at risk. And for what? The bill.
They've been saying this for years. Trump's a threat to democracy. He got elected. He's a president now. Shut up with that nonsense. Shut it. Move forward. He is the president. We need to move forward and support what he's doing. If it's for good purposes, which is cleaning up this country, we should be supporting it. This idiot on TV, oh, he's a threat. It's a threat. DOGE is a threat to them. Shut up.
Billionaire takeover of government.
In the days ahead, we expect more cuts at the Department of Education.
The corruption of government. Correct yourself. The corruption of government.
And that's why I got to ask, rhetorically at least, and perhaps to my colleagues, the United States dollar and the United States government and the full faith and credit are all build up the reputation of the United States of America. Now, if any of your institutions suddenly let somebody into your payment system that had no background in banking, that had no understanding of money flows, that suddenly gets an ability without any screening to look at all of your customers' personal banking information, I believe that would cause reputational risk.
If he's talking about Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, who has companies that are profiting and doing well, he took over Twitter, now X, and look where it's at. They didn't need all those people that he let go initially. When he came in, he gutted a lot of people. He took out so many people out of Twitter. And everybody was freaking out. Oh my God, that's the end of Twitter. The end of the world. And look it. Now it's X. It's still doing great. These people.
And that is exactly what is happening in the United States Treasury at this moment in time. We don't know if the Doge crowd, there is one person that maybe has a clearance. The others, we have no freaking idea.
He's shaking.
But the ability, and we don't know for sure whether this is a read-only ability or read and write, which in past the legalese means that person could potentially go in and alter code. Or
the press secretary, Caroline Levitt, she said that this was a read-only for Elon Musk's team. It's only a read-only, looking at all the stuff of where money's coming in and out. So, or mostly out, I should say.
Manipulate payments. I say to my Republican friends, guys, can't we agree that the risk of the United States is worth protecting? In the idea that we've got people potentially manipulating our payment system that we have no idea. And we're going to sit silently by? This isn't about efficiency. This is about the kind of payment system we're going to have in our country.
Before Republicans answer that question, how about he answers the question, do you believe it was a great idea opening the borders, having illegals come into this country, terrorists come into this country, drugs flowing in and out of our country was beneficial for the American people, for the government? The last 4 years of the Democratic administration was complete garbage that led this country into a chaos place that no sane person wanted to deal with. We waited patiently for his term to end. Everybody was waiting for January 20th this year. Nobody was waiting for Christmas last year or New Year's. Everybody was waiting for January 20th to see what was going to happen with this country and if holidays would even exist anymore. A lot of unnecessary things are being gutted out of this country. That's not a bad thing. We need to get ourselves into a sane society and move forward with advancing with technology, health, education, work, everything. Can't do that when we have democratic bad policies in this country.
Financial institution let unscreened individuals into their payment book or into the private banking information about their customers. Mr. Client, I believe their reputation would go straight to hell.
Absolutely, Senator. I worked in the Treasury Department for almost 4 years with a top secret clearance. I was going nowhere near that. And as you point out, this is not about efficiency. If you wanted to make the Treasury system more efficient, you would move it to a real-time payment network. Should have been done years ago. You wouldn't just sit there and take read access to look at every single payment the U.S. Treasury Department does. Any bank that did that to their customers would be in deep violation.
Well, it's also the fact that, the payment system in the Treasury, that's not where determinations are made about whether something is illicit or illegal. That is actually the subject matter expertise resides at the agency that has oversight.
Yeah.
I just say, come on, guys, this is about the full faith and credit of the United States. It is about our reputation in the world. You're getting the same calls that I'm getting. They don't identify whether they're Democrats or Republicans, but these programs that may or may not be arbitrarily eliminated by somebody that we don't even know who they are. Efficiency, sign me up. Turning over the payment system to people that we don't have any idea who they are or what their goal is or what their mission is.
They've told
where
us.
We can't even get a full answer whether they simply have read capabilities or read and write. This is an enormous
They've said already it's read only.
in those extra couple words. And I just feel, Mr. Chairman, this ought to be something that we as the banking committee
You scared.
that are looking at the Treasury,
This guy's hiding
we
something.
ought to jointly want that. There's a 25-year-old there. I've read about him in the news. I don't know the individual. I don't have the slightest idea if they got security clearances. I will tell you this, Mr. Gannon, I was going to ask you about something on crypto that I'm not going to be able to get to. I look forward to working with Senator Loomis and how we promote innovation but don't overdo on the risk side. And I think we can do much better than we've done so far. But I have to just tell you, as somebody that was chair of the Intelligence Committee and now vice chair and take that role incredibly important, the notion that somebody maybe arbitrarily put out these payment flows for something that looks kind of funky, but they don't have any idea what it is, will hurt our national security. Because candidly, and this is not classified, we fund things sometimes under a cover. We put out this information and the bad guys find out about this, people's lives are at risk. And I implore you all as experts, I implore my colleagues, this should not be a partisan issue.
So
let's get to the bottom of who these people are.
Did he just say that there's some things that were funded, but they were not funded for that because it was an undercover thing, so our enemies wouldn't know what it was? We need to figure out a way for the government to be transparent to the American people. That is the point of Doge. So if there are certain things that need to be hidden from our enemies, in a way it needs to be hidden from the American people, but fuck man, that's tough. That's tough if this is true. But that's why we need Doge to investigate this. We need somebody to investigate. It's crazy how this country has so much debt. That is the point of what we're trying to figure out. And if it's these programs that the American people didn't vote for or want, they need to be eliminated. We're not going to war. What would we be doing that needs to be secret for our enemies not to know? If we're not even in wartime right now. What money is this guy talking about that needs to be hidden under a blanket?
What kind of clearances they have, and make sure that we don't put in further jeopardy the risk and reputation of the United States government, which I believe is under immediate and imminent attack from these unsanctioned individuals. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Be quiet with that.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Before I go to Senator Kennedy, I do want to respond to your comment there, Mark. The Treasury just put this out. Importantly, the ongoing review of Treasury systems is not resulting in the suspension or rejection of any payment instructions submitted to Treasury by other federal agencies across the government. In particular, the review at the Fiscal Services has not caused payments for obligations such as Social Security and Medicare to be delayed or rerouted. To be clear, the agency's responsibility is for making the payments, always drives the payment process. Currently, Treasury staff members working with Tom Krause, a Treasury employee, will have read-only access. Just to
Mr. Chairman,
help some of
do you know, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask.
He said read-only.
So you are saying that it is read-only and not read and write?
That's what the Treasury just.
And do you know the identity of these individuals? Mr. Krause is a known quantity, and he's got security clearance. Yeah. The other individuals who've been reported in the press, do they have security clearance, sir?
I'll just say this. Do
you want that individual without security clearance to have access to all that information?
Yeah. I was clarifying a comment you made, number one. Number two, I would simply say that under the Biden administration, we had no clue who was doing what most of the time.
There we go.
There
we go. Exactly. Everything I just said. Something.
Senator Warner is a reasonable man. Everybody on this committee knows that. And he's a good man. And I understand he's interested in process, and I'm not saying that process isn't important.
I like this
but
guy.
If the United States of America has been taking taxpayer money and using it to produce a transgender opera in Colombia, then I want to know about it. And I'm glad to know about it. And it seems to me that that's the main issue with respect to all of this. And I look forward to talking further with my friend, Mr. Warner, about that. I mean, for 4 years, under President Biden, as was his right, the topic of discussion in Washington was who needs to pay more in taxes. Who needs to pay more in taxes? That's no longer the main question. The main question is now, as it should be in my judgment, what the hell happened to all the money? And we're going to find out. Now, I need to get back to the subject. With the exception of Mr. Klein, whose testimony I enjoyed, I understand his position. He wants to let the CFPB run.
You know, these people are lucky that the American people are not rising against this government to figure out what the hell happened with all this money that the taxpayers paid into. The government, our government, is lucky. Hey guys, so like I said, you know, it's going to be tough going over some bumps, getting our country back in order. It's going to take a lot of risks and, you know, necessary things that need to happen in order for us to gut a lot of the corruption, figure out where our money is going, saving our education system for kids, and so many other things in this country that we need to repair. And I'm just naming a very few of them. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate everybody who has subscribed. We're at 215 now, and I really appreciate everybody that's following along. I'm going to keep pushing out more content. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out, guys.